Okay, folks, happy Saturday. Happy Saturday. First sip of morning coffee right there. Okay. We've got some KV1 turrets to weather. We have some details on the KV1 hulls to paint. What else do we have? That's definitely the priority. So these guys will be ready to spray today. And when was the other flat stuff coming? I just ordered last night. I think it was on Sunday, which means probably won't get a chance to use it on Sunday. But I think I have enough of it to tomorrow by 10 p.m. So I think I've got enough of it to clear coat these vehicles that we have right here. But that's what we're going to do, and then maybe we'll mess with this pack 36 for the after core. I got 4 of them that came in here, and I may try to put one of them together with epoxy, see how that works. If not, I found another material that was recommended here shortly a little while ago. Material, another glue or a primer that might work on it. I don't want to resort to something like rubber cement, but like something a little bit more permanent. Okay. Here we go. Let's go ahead and take this turret off. Come on. All right. See what the problem is. Oh, it's right there. Okay. Paint just made it a little bit more difficult. I'm not planning on gluing these together. I'm just going to leave them like this. They fit on there really well. Okay, so let's get our weathering colors for the temperate zone. They should be out here. US Field Drab and Iraqi Sand. We won't need super readers this morning. I got my contacts out, so we'll see what kind of a session we can do here. Make sure that's in the right place. Nuln oil can hang out here because we are going to need some Nuln oil things. Okay, weathering's first and foremost. And there's not a ton of weathering on these turrets, but I do want them to have some. Might as well start with this one. It's right here in front of me. Ever so lightly. Yep, that's enough because we got to go in with the rocky sand afterwards and do a little bit more fading and stick with the same, stick with the same style, not the up armored turret. We'll do that. We'll do those two together. And now the up armored turrets. I want to say these used to be called, in one of the games I played, they used to call them KV-1Es. I have a feeling that's what they're called. In something, maybe in Command Decision or something like that. Yep, that looks just fine. Don't want to go overboard. Don't want the turret to have more weathering on it than the hull. That wouldn't make any sense. Yeah, we got on here again a little earlier than we normally do. I woke up before my alarm this morning, maybe 15 minutes before. Now we're going to put the Iraqi sand, do the same process. Let me make sure that this is set to all chat. I don't know why it defaults to top chat, but as I saw the other night, it actually did not show some messages. We'll do the weathering on this, and then we will go and pick out some things like machine guns, so forth. I don't like to paint those and then weather over them. I want them to stand out. I don't want them to be subtle. They don't stand out that much, but I'm just saying that, at this scale, they don't need to be weathered. That's it right there. We don't need to go hog wild. All hand painted numbers. It's not that hard to do, and you could spend a fortune ordering decals, and then you're limited by whatever decals you are available out there. There's some things I think you got to order, like the red stars and stuff like that. I don't want to paint stars and have to go back and forth kind of correcting them. I mean, a star looks like a star, but these slogans and stuff look better when they're imperfect. To me, anyways. And like I said, you'd be like, okay, well, let me look at a decal set. All right, it's $8 or $7 or something like that. And it's like, $7 or $8 for shipping. So now it's $15. I can just buy another tank for $15. Easy. And then wait for it to get here. Big white dot on the back. It's UPC. It's a primitive UPC code. This will only show the justice that I did. Post these pictures online. Because in the video, it looks dumbed down a lot. Doesn't really get the point across. Just happen to see. It's like a brush bristle or something like that. Just one in that little spot. Okay. Now, onto the details. I do need to switch this. I don't think I need the wet palette, but I do need to get this out of the way so we don't have any live paint, as I like to call it, on there. Oh, don't be so bouncy. All right. These have some details here. Metallic details that we're going to start off by painting them black. That's right, cue the music. Dun, 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 dun. And the headlamp. Big old headlamp. Okay. MG there. We have this saw. Ooh, that's a weird tip. We can use you, but we gotta get rid of that tip. That's probably it. It's just like one stray. Nope. Good, it's good to have the microphone on. Just a little bit of wetting drops. It's not really wetting drops, but it's kind of the equivalent. Okay, we got the saw there. You got this small cable. What do you call those things? Bungee. Almost like a bungee that's there. I'm going to go ahead and paint this headlamp all black, even though we're going to come in and we're going to do other colors on it. Okay. And even though we're going to do the exhaust, rusty type color. I'm going to come in and paint over that. Okay, and I think that's all we're doing on there. This hull, obviously we'll come back and paint those areas metallic or rusty, or depending on what it is that we're doing. Same thing, let's paint the saw over here. The MG. The MG that's actually, well, the driving position on this vehicle is in the center of the hull. And then they've got the machine gunner, the whole machine gunner that's there off to his left, squished on him. Don't stand so close to me, comrade. All right. Kind of a slow morning. Well, it's not even 6 here, so. You lads across the pond are here already. KV2 go boom. This is a vehicle that's so basic, it's unattractive and it's not unattractive at the same time. KV2 go boom. saw that goes over here. Yeah, that was my stomach. It wants more to eat. How many breakfasts do you want, Mr. Stomach? Yes. Why are you upset at me? It doesn't hurt. You're just making sounds. Then we'll come in and put some Null oil on those vents. Okay. This guy right here. Now, before I get messed up, let's go ahead and paint the machine guns, which is a tiny little spot there on the turrets. There we are. You're up bright and early. Well, it's not bright yet. So are you, man. Did you pull an all-nighter? All-nighter with Nordic. What was the name of that show that was on USA way back in the day? USA Up All Night? I mean, I never watched that stuff. I didn't stay up that. Although, you know, when I was younger, I'd stay up till like 2 in the morning and stuff like that. I'd rather get up at 2 than stay up till 2. Up all night with Nordic. Ah, yes, the second alarm. Did that turn off? Okay. That actually saved my ass this last week. Oh, everybody's up. You took everybody here with you. In Soviet Russia, machine gun paints you. Up all night. I was too young to watch that stuff. Mr. Kevin actually can't sleep. Tried, but just couldn't. Had that happen from time to time. So the other morning, we'll call it Tuesday. I think it was Tuesday. Tuesday, Wednesday, something like that. I have an alarm for 5 and an alarm for 6. So I wake up in the morning, turn my alarm off, go out, do my usual stuff Monday through Friday, which is start up, make some coffee, have some breakfast, which usually consists of a little bit of cereal, yogurt, a banana, that kind of stuff. And then, on a work day, I don't have much time other than play, 20 minutes or so of Diablo. So I go do that, knowing that my alarm at 6 o'clock is coming up, which still gives me like a freaking hour to get to work, and work's like 10 minutes away. So plenty of time. So I saw that I saw my clock, we're getting close to the hands, of big hands going by the 12, the long hands going by the 12. So the 6 a.m. alarm is coming up soon. And I notice the windows that I have in this house are huge. And we've got these blinds that are attached by magnets. They're kind of state of the art. And you can just lower the top portion and still get natural light through, which is what we do in the daytime. So you can still have privacy, but you can still get almost like, imagine like a skylight, but on the side of your window, right? So you still let light in. And I'm looking out, and it's off to the side, and I'm like, man, the time change is really, really changing these days significantly. And then it dawns on me that I slept through my 5 a.m. alarm, which is the one I normally wake up at, and I did my normal stuff, pretending it was the 5 a.m. one, but it was actually a 6 a.m. one. So I had to hustle and get to work. It wasn't a big deal, but it reinforced the position that I'm not going to change having 2 alarms, because it did save my ass. Which is kind of annoying, because it was a night that I didn't stay up late, yet I ended up waking up late. So, you never know. They're still the KVs. They are. They are. The end of the KVs. And they look really good. They look really good from here, but I can't show you the pictures. They wouldn't do them justice. The pictures just don't turn out well here. I'll post them on Facebook once we get these guys sealed. All right. Null oil. We want to put these on these vents. And some of you guys have commented, man, those do look really good. They don't look good on the video. They don't look good on the video. Actually, let me pull the other 2 KVs. So I'd like for them to look consistent. Let's see what we did on here. Yeah, we basically did the same thing. They're not super dark. Okay, cool. That's why I don't want to weather over this. The details on here are not very deep at all. And you weather over it, and you end up just going over everything you did, so there's not much point in that. You're just fooling yourself thinking there's going to be it's going to make a difference. Okay. Remember, we still got to do headlights. Tony, would you believe it's taken me several attempts to punch and sort, banish all their fears? I only just now on the 3rd try figure out how the hell to sort the stuff. Well, yeah, I believe it. And I don't even know how big a game that is, but you can't crash fast enough to win. So if you go and rush and you punch something out really fast and it's a good investment. Some things just take time, you know? Some things just take time. You can't rush them. You're just going to regret it and ruin something that. Did you get one of those? Do you have one of those corner cutting things? I forget what the name of the brand is. That brand that they have, it's um, Oregon Industries or whatever amalgamation. It's so long ass freaking name. Do you have one of those things, or do you use fingernail clippers? When I had board games, when I had ASL and stuff like that, people weren't cutting the corners. They weren't rounding the corners. I do like them rounded. I really do. It looks good. We just use X-Acto knives, and it freaking take forever. It just would take forever. But that's why it's probably a good idea to just buy one game at a time. It's like, all right, I'm gonna get an ASL, and you end up getting like 6 modules. Like, crap, you got a lot of cutting to do. I ended up sorting all mine with Rose's matches, little match boxes, and I would color code the end, and I'd store them vertically. So when you open the box, all the counters were like this, and I had taken markers that were color coded. So I would highlight them in blue if it was Germans or gray or what have you, and they were color coded that way. But it's kind of like you got to have a love of that organization to be able to do it. Some people just, I've played with games that with people just, they throw all the counters in and you spend like a freaking hour before each time you want to set up a scenario sorting through stuff. That's a little too chaotic, you know. Just a vampire. I'm. Can you be a vampire in Arizona? I don't know. It's kind of hard to live in Arizona and not have a tan, right? Use large fingernail clippers. I refuse to pay near $60 for clippers. Yeah, and Oregon, you know which one I'm talking about. The Oregon, and then all I hear is people that they break on them. You don't know what people are doing though. Some people misbehave tools and stuff. Generally, if something's expensive, I tend not to break it because it's expensive. But I know what you're talking about. That's pretty high price to pay for it. That's 3 times more than the Tamiya the Tamiya clippers. I came across when I ordered them. I've had them less than a year. That's hard to believe. I should have gotten those things 20 years ago. They are superb. AliExpress. Cannot store my games like that. It would drive me up the damn wall. Store them for the easiest setup possible. Take, for instance, banish all their fears. I'm bagging the counters for their wings in separate baggies. I just pull out the wing I need to set up. What is... All right, I got to look up what banish all their fears is. Let me see if I can guess what it is. Is it another ACW thing? Banish all their fears game. The Supremacy of Firepower. Bayonet and Musket Battles. Volume 1, 2024. Ooh, brand new. Cool. Board Game Geek. You could spend a lifetime on Board Game Geek. Let's see what this looks like. This doesn't really give me a good idea. The battles of Neerwinden and Blenheim. Hold on. What? Does this show the infantry from above? If it does, that's cool. It's a good looking game. I don't mind board games as long as they look good. I just don't have it in me to learn it. And I do miss mounted map boards, but I guess if I had a mounted map board, I'd still put plexiglass over it. Yeah, brand new. Tip of the sword. Getting new games and reviewing them. Horse and Musket. Neerwinden. That sounds like Louis the 14th in the Low Countries. If it's 1693, I'm pretty sure that's what it is. That's back when you didn't want to be the guy holding the pike. There's enough guys holding muskets. That's not a super popular time period. Or at least, I haven't seen very many games of it being played. I've actually played a Battle of Blenheim. I think that one. I think that's the one I played. In 6mm. AliExpress has the clippers for $1.50. I'm scared of ordering from them. You know, I don't mind ordering. I don't like ordering from China. But if I'm going through like eBay or I'm going through paying through PayPal, I'm okay with it. So in other words, the S model tanks that I have, those are made in China. You can order them, I think, from AliExpress. And they just charge you more for shipping, and they're not any cheaper than going through one of the vendors on eBay. I just like going through eBay. You've got some recourse. I mean, if something goes wrong with your order, I can just see them saying, "Oh, so sorry, you not get order." And then what are you going to do? You know, hope they invade Taiwan to get your money back. Really want someone to make a series for the Great Northern War. They don't? Horse and musket aerial warfare, actually your favorite type of warfare. Well, this is the early end of horse and musket. Late 1600s is the early end. Because much before that, and you basically have to have the pikes disbanded. You're waiting for the pikes to be disbanded. So would you be interested in playing something like Culloden? Is that something that interests you? It's a horse, musket, and the other poor saps that have broadswords. Claymores. Claymores versus horse and musket. It's funny, you know, you'll see the name of something hundreds of times, but you never hear somebody speak it. And the first time I heard somebody say the name of that battle, I'm like, oh, that's how you say it. it's not like it's a World War II term or a World War II battle that I've watched videos on and stuff like that. I haven't seen anything from the mid 1700s. Yeah, Culloden. I always thought it was Culloden. I never heard anybody speak it. Just like it wasn't until I listened to Dan Jones' book on the Plantagenets that the Middle East, the Levant, had always been referred to this strange word I never heard before. And I thought it was called outremer, not outremer. I didn't know. I never heard anybody pronounce it. And I know 2 languages. And I want to pronounce things correctly, so. Even zealots get things wrong. Pronunciation zealot. Let's get the, let's get this up here. Well, I was really disappointed. I was just really disappointed that I turned on the phone this morning and I caught part of the news, and it was an excerpt on Wednesday that I missed going into town and seeing one of the Jenner girls was in town promoting tequila or something like that. My life is over. I was looking at one of the reviews on there. I'm like her biggest fan. I'm like, what do these people do? At least I'm a dork. I'm creating shit. A reality star. I don't get it. Iron Warriors is what we're looking for. Not this. This is a little too shiny. I'd be down players aim battle horse can muscle regardless of the armies involved. Think I'd rather be shot than cleaved by a claymore. Absolutely. Mr. Jared, after faffing around, that sounds like something you need to keep in your pants. With new rules for 2 years, my mate and I have gone back to DBA, except we use impetus style basing and a 4x4 mat. Really enjoying it. There you go. Have you played impetus? I have the rules. I feel like I'm at the end of my, ooh, this thing's weird. All right. We'll mix your ass up more than that. I feel like I'm at the end of my energies for trying to learn systems. So I've got one more system left in me, and I'm going to save it for this. I don't mind playing other people's stuff, but I don't want to be the guy that has to sift through I don't want to be the guy that has to faff through the rule book and try to figure out the answer. Maybe I've just gotten older. Work has just been a 4-letter word that starts with the C lately, and it's worse every day. It's just like there's so many variables and incompetence and changes that you have to do that I'm just like, luckily I don't think about it when I'm not there, but there's too many, it's too difficult to figure things out Monday through Friday. I just don't want to try to hurt my brain. What's left of it. That doesn't mean I want to play more simple games. That just means I don't want to be the one figuring it out. I don't want to be the one explaining the damn rules to everybody. I have to explain stuff to people all the time and they don't listen over and over again. I don't, anything that I do at work, I don't want to do that on my free time. I'm like 100% against it. So, most Scots pronounce it Culloden. Culloden. Look, 11. Don't make me pull out the Lafroig and have a sip this early. Because I will do that. Think we'd appreciate the level of information a playbook goes for Banish All Their Fears. It's 64 pages of deep dive in the unit. I like that kind of stuff. You know, even though it's not my period, you know, if that's a game that, you know, you end up doing a battle and you want to read more about the period, that's why I play historical games. So I'm not one of these people, as I've gotten older, I want to play these simple games. I'm just tired of explaining things to people that don't listen. I don't know. I can't be alone. I can't be alone in people that don't want to do the stuff that they're forced to do every day. For free. So luckily all is well here. But it's getting really tired of having to deal with some kind of level of incompetence on a daily basis. I'm gonna say that it's due to I'm also having trouble. You know, I can learn it. It's my motivation to do it, to learn it. You know. Yeah, that's why I stuck with DBA for so long. You could just focus on learning about the history, the painting, enjoying the painting, and just not arguing about the rules and not have to like, well, this is why. It's kind of like you're on the same page. That was the best thing about it, you know. Want to do the finishers for these two battles? I have all the information needed in that playbook. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. One of my one of my biggest gripes about my job, not that I want to be a job gripe place, is and this is a job that I've been at. In 2 months I'll be there 30 years. I went there right after college, and it just shouldn't be that challenging, having done it for as long. But there's just so many variables. It's like, almost kind of like you're a pilot, right? And you're flying from here to the Himalayas or something like that. It's a long flight either way. And you can't put it on autopilot. You know, you have to, you know, there's all kinds of turbulence and you constantly have to adjust constantly. So anytime you leave the flight deck, you know, you've got to readjust. And it's just like it gets worse and worse each day. More and more stuff gets thrown on you. More people you can't count on. I just think there's a lot of people out there on drugs, and drugs that are not making you better, you know. And then I got to deal with it. Those of us that don't do drugs have to deal with it. I don't know. It's just too damn complicated. So just got to make it another 15 years, and then I'll be good. But that's why, you know, I got really tired of doing all the heavy lifting. And, you know, and all people had to do is like, hey, just show up for the game. You know, I'm putting all this stuff on, just show up. And then people would come up with excuses of why they couldn't make it. Well, I just got burned out on it. So now I already signed up to go to the show. What am I playing? I don't know. I'm probably not going to sign up for anything and just see what happens. And I'm really happy with that. You know? And they got the old crew of people that were used to play. Some people that used to play DBA are now jump ship and they're playing Art de la Guerre. I ain't playing that shit. I ain't learning another system. Nope. Not for that. I'm not playing any more abstract games. Absolutely not. Never going to do it. I'm not going to learn them. Somebody else can, Just not interested. Abstract thinking burns my mind out. Biggest problem DBA has always looked too anemic, but with impetus basing, the units look great. Yeah, I just don't want to paint that many figures before I can switch to something else. I always felt DBA was too much of a game of geometry and not enough a game depicting the battle tactics of the period. The thing that DBA does better than anything else I've played is pretty much anything else I've played is there's no guaranteed, most of the time in each bound, there's no guaranteed one way to skin a cat. So you constantly have options. And many times you can't do them all. And that's a nice challenge. More than anything else. Would I like DBA to have more detail? Absolutely. There's no doubt about it. I think DBA's biggest flaw is that it's too difficult to move. You spend too much time figuring out how to move, and not enough, and that time could be better used to give you more flavor of the intricacies of what's happening in the combat, which we all like. I think it could use more effort could be done in that, but it's just too clunky to you can move this, but you can't move that, but you can't touch the edge. And I understand why they do it, but I'm like, I don't want to do that again. I don't want to do it again. I don't want to do it again. And I don't want to play a game where somebody's coming into playing it and they ask me a legitimate question like, hey, how come it's the case like this? And I have to give them some kind of a candy ass answer like, it doesn't make any sense to me either, but that's just how it is. I'm never running a game that has that bullshit in it. Okay? I'm gonna play face of battle. And there's something in there, I haven't encountered it yet, that doesn't make sense to myself or anybody else playing the game. We're gonna change it. I mean, we're not idiots. Not on that level. We've played war games and we know enough about the Second World War to be able to figure shit out. I'm not playing that again. I'm not shoehorning myself into a corner. Like, yeah, I know it doesn't make any sense, but that's how we have to play it because it's in a tournament. Not doing it again. Mr. Angel, the Angel of North Carolina. Don't think there's a game of any sort where there's no rules to be argued about. I don't know. Some people want to have a good time, and some people want to argue. And I haven't encountered too many people in a long time that are in the arguing camp, but I ain't got time for that. People that want to argue just don't have a job that's challenging enough. And as I've gotten older, I just don't want to put up with bullshit. I'm still amazed at the difference between WRG and DBA made by the same people. Never played WRG. It's probably a good thing. I didn't have to unlearn anything. The problem with DBA for me was not the geometry. It was the nothing's ever repeated a second time. And something may be mentioned in the unit description at the beginning of the thing that you don't read because it's a unit description. Everybody knows what knights are. But yet it comes into play when they win the combat at the end. And it's not repeated. So it's not in a section where it should be in. That kind of mentality And then, I've never played a game where, oh, okay, knights are 3 versus foot, and they quick kill them. But if it's a Tuesday and there's a full moon, that doesn't happen. But if it's a Wednesday and it's a new moon, then this happens. And it's all in the same sentence. And I'm like, you're making my head hurt. I just don't understand things written that way. And it's not a knock against Phil, because I genuinely think he is a brilliant human being. But why am I playing a game for 18 years and still being tortured by the way that this is, the semantics of where everything is, of organized? I'm like, make it stop. And then you have people that have never played the game before that want to learn and want to argue, well, that's not what the rules mean. Now, I've read the rules. Okay, dude that just showed up on the scene, then you play the fucking game however you want to. It just got fucking old. It just got old. And these are problems that aren't an issue with the 5 to 10 people that I normally play. We just sit down and we play, and these issues don't come up. But adding new people, it's just a pain in the ass. It's just a pain in the ass. And I just want to paint shit and just get down and roll dice and have a good time and laugh about the outcomes and things like that. I'm like 12 years younger than you, and I don't put up with bullshit either. Damn it! I'm 12 years younger than myself. I don't feel 52. I still feel like I'm 25. With like 25 years of shit I ain't going to put up with anymore. Because some of you guys didn't get spanked. I think the time to discuss rules is not in the middle of the game. Well, that's when they come up in the middle of the game. I'm not. When you read a set of rules, all right, and you're done, and you feel like, what kind of drugs am I doing? And you've never done drugs in your life, you need to move on to another set of rules. Other than caffeine. Caffeine doesn't count. I have a job, okay? I have a job that one of the big deals they make out of the job is shit happens, right? Stuff happens in a job and that you don't want to happen again. So you're forced to come up with ways to keep it from preventing it from happening again. And then you go on your free time and you play this game that all of these things keep happening and there's no way to prevent them because the rules are confusing for mortals, and there's no way to reword the rules. You got to play them how they are. So just imagine how frustrating it is on your free time. You got to stop all these problems from happening, but then when you're on your free time, you're playing a set of rules that there's no way to prevent them to keep reemerging themselves because of the way the rules are written. It's like, it's time to move on. And I still say they're a great set of rules, but I'm tired. I'm tired, And I got nothing but kind words to say to Phil, but I'm tired of fighting his war, Figure it out. Man, my stepfather backhanded you and had a paddle about 2 inches thick with holes drilled in that sucker. Man, that hurt. We had those in middle school and elementary school. The wiffle paddle. Yeah. There was no bullshit in the 80s. You got fucking hit at school. Did it make a difference? I don't know. We still did stupid stuff, but there's stuff that we never did. Like, I never got drunk and did something ridiculous. I saw a video that came on Facebook yesterday, I think what I saw. I don't know from whose website it was, but it was a freaking car chase. it was this police car. It was a dash cam from a police car that was chasing a Ram pickup truck that was driving crazier than Grand Theft Auto. He was going. I mean, this is like, imagine like an interstate, but it's not divided. So you've got like 3 lanes this way, 3 lanes this way, and there's no barrier in between them. This guy went onto oncoming traffic. I'm watching it with my wife, and I'm like, they should have called a gunship. Call the gunship, mow the guy down, because he's literally could have killed hundreds of people. It's like, who does shit like this, Mow him down. Done. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I need to find the video and post it on my page. It's unbelievable. I like house rules when the rules you don't like. Sure, but you can't do that in a tournament game. Because then you go and play in a tournament, and then you have to relearn how to play it in a crappy way. Now, I'll be honest with you. The only reason I ever played in a tournament was so I could play with my stuff. Because I could show up on the scene to play with my stuff. Not because I wanted to be competitive. Because I'm always competitive. As I had a bad experience in the 90s about putting on a game with all my stuff at a convention, and somebody was just hand-fisting everything. And I'm like, I'm not putting on a game anymore. It's like, well, that was a good way to not get people to touch your stuff, is play a game like DBA where you bring your own things and nobody touches your stuff. So I think the new way is going to be like, we'll do this. I'm running it here. I'm not packing all my shit up, okay, on my timetable, and I will pick who comes here, and they just won't be invited again if I don't like it. And I'm not interested in really the competitive aspect. Not that it's not competitive, but I'm interested in the narrative that develops. Imagine it's like a choose your own adventure book, You get to kind of choose what happens. You get to see how the story develops. And, paint World War II stuff as we're doing it and learn new things about it. And none of that is really, I would say, prevalent with the people that I would play on a weekly basis with. Because they're not cheaters. They're not bad folks. We all have a good time. We don't really argue about rules. It's just playing that game is keeping me from doing this. I don't have enough time, motivation to do both. And I don't want to run all the stuff at the shows anymore. So, and the other people that should step up that are retired don't. So I'm like, I got too much work on my plate. I need to chillax. Anyone else have stink bug problems? What kind of problems are you having? There's a place where I park under a shade tree at lunchtime. It's across the street from the plant. And basically, what I like to do at lunchtime is not encounter a soul. Do whatever the hell I want. Don't know that we have stink bugs. And there's stink bugs that land there. And if it's the same stink bugs we have here in Florida, I don't know that I've ever smelled one. I mean, obviously, if you squish them, I think that's where the smell comes from. I don't like bugs, but I'm very racist when it comes to bugs because there's some bugs that actually I think are very cute. Stink bugs are one of them. And let me show you what a Florida stink bug looks like. But I don't mess with them. They don't crawl on you, and they're cute. They're beetle-like. Florida stink bug. We have some here around the house outside, but stink bug problem sounds like we got a lot of them. Florida stink bug. Dude, and they got cute ones. I've never seen one like this. There's a stink bug that's a Gator fan. They don't look. It's cute. That's cute. As far as bugs go, that's cute. And they're not that big. They're normally about that big. And they don't move around. They don't I mean they can fly, but let's see if we oh man, I backed out too much. Let's see if I can show you what they normally look around here. They're normally like gray. Yeah, they look like this. Yeah, they're cute. And I'm not a bug fan, but I like ladybugs. I like these guys. June beetles and stuff are cute. Yeah, that's what we have here. What kind of problems you having, man? You're not crawling in your mouth while you're asleep, are you? Yeah, I went there. A stink bug bastard landed on an unopened can of Sprite I was about to drink, and it's left its damn stink on it. It smells horrid. I'm not drinking that. Yeah, don't drink that. We need to work on your definition of cute. Yours are better looking than the ones up here. The ones up here are brownish gray. They're usually that here, but they're little and they don't. Different people have different issues with critters. Like I am not a spider hater. Okay. Why? Well, first of all, we don't have massive ones here. Okay. Let's get that right out of the bat. You know, banana spiders aren't like landing on me and shit like that. Okay. So you can get away from a spider relatively quick. You can like, oh, there's one there. You can get them. It's the freaking palmetto bugs, the freaking roaches that are this long that they're all over the place, man. And supposedly, from what I heard, those roaches aren't really bad for transmitting diseases. That's what I heard. Palmetto bugs, if they're in your house, which I don't have any here, but we spray. It's because there's a billion outside and they work their way in. They're not in here to eat your food. They're not interested in that. There's just billions outside, and they don't come in the wintertime. But that's what I hate. I hate palmetto bugs because you can't squash them, man. They're everywhere, and once you do squash them, they leave like ugh. It just I'd rather have snakes. Because snakes are cool. I don't want them in my house either, but, I'm not a palmetto bug. But yeah, stink bugs are cute, but they've never landed on. How did you get a stink bug land on your Sprite? Don't mind spiders. Yeah. When my wife and I were dating, we were talking about different things, and she's from South Florida. I said, you know what I really like are toads. And she's like, what's wrong with you? And till I realized that the toads they have in South Florida are like big old brown, almost black cow pie looking things. All right? And the toads we have here are fucking adorable. They're not even this big. And they're beautiful creatures. They really are. And they eat bugs. I'm a fan. And the only problem with them is, we don't have an infestation of them either. Is their defense mechanism is to stand still like a dumbass, and it could be in the middle of your driveway. You run over the poor little bastard, and then you have a mess. Other than that, they're super cute. I don't pick them up and stuff because then they pee on you, and then you got to wash your hands an extra time. And I don't want to scare the little critters, but I like frogs and that kind of stuff. They're cool. He must have come in from the attic. What are they doing in the attic? We have a bug here called a cactus beetle. Look it up. This guy's cute, man. I mean, if you looked at him really close, you probably wouldn't be cute, but some things just, give you the heebie-jeebies, and that's just not one of them. Ladybugs are cute, Cactus beetle. You're not going to give me nightmares, are you? Cactus beetle. Oh, yeah. I wouldn't put that on my fucking hand. What about those velvet ants they have here? Cow killer. Man, I've never seen those before until at work. Let's see. There's things that I found at work I'd never seen before in my life. These things. They're like a flightless wasp, and they live in the ground, and they get to be about that big. And if you step on one, they'll bounce back. You basically have to step on them, and they're bad. I don't go and, kill creatures just because they're there, but the craziest thing I've ever seen at work, and I know I've mentioned this before, is I was outside in the yard, and I would hear, and I'm like really, really loud. And I'm like, what the hell is that flying around? And I thought it was the strangest creature. And it's called a giant. And I've only seen them at work. And I haven't seen any in a couple of years, which is just fine by me. They're called a giant robber fly. And they look evil as shit. And there's no way I would have one on my finger. They look like they're smoking a cigar. They look like a really hairy mosquito that's smoking a cigar. And they're loud as all get out when they're flying. And they hunt frickin' wasps. Look at this bastard. And they're supposedly not aggressive towards humans. But they say if one bites you, you wish it hadn't happened. But they're so freaking loud. Robber fly on hand. Nope. This is a little one. But they're hairy and shit. Just pure freaking evil. Because like wasps aren't evil looking. They're just wasps. But these hairs and shit like that, I don't want to see a freaking bug with damn hairs on it. Go to the barber. Florida's full of non-indigenous critters. Use a couple of those bugs. I have wasp problems during summer and winter. We have something called a Christmas beetle. Large and cute. Christmas beetle. This show's always about learning about stuff. Christmas beetle. Let's find out what a Christmas beetle looks like. Christmas beetle. Oh, wow. Looks like a June bug. Scarab-like. I'd say he's cute. I don't know that I want to pick him up, but that's okay. They're cute. I can enjoy them from afar. Christmas beetle flurry. Oh, this looks like a display somebody had. Yeah. Some bugs are cute until you look really close at them. But that could go for a lot of things. So you have an infestation of just one. You have one ornery stink bug, huh? What are they doing in the attic? I've seen a couple outside, but sometimes you find them and they're dead. What's their stink smell like? It probably wouldn't make you sick, but why would you drink something that has animal secretions on it. So yeah, throw that Sprite away. You deserve a clean bottle of Sprite. It's supposed to get up near 60 today. Not liking this weather in February. It's going to get to 80 today. I'm really not liking it. But I'd rather it be warm on my day off because I can wear whatever the hell I want. All right. We're going to do some lenses now. The headlights. Headlight lenses. The only bug we've encountered in this house frequently is, not frequently, but a few times, is silverfish. And in the weirdest places. We'll find them in the toilet. So there's a vent, the extractor vent, that's above the toilet in the master bathroom, and that's where we've seen them. And they're like alive, like they took one tumble and then they're in the toilet, just floating there. But I think we've found maybe one a month. So nothing really to be concerned about. My brother lived in a house and he claims that he had a lot of scorpions. He'd have like scorpions that would come on, because the scorpions like to live in the mulch and stuff like that. And they're little scorpions. But yeah, that's kind of creepy. I like to listen to the scorpions, but I don't want them running around in my house. I've lived in apartments before where there was a black ant problem, like tiny little like sugar ants. But it's usually not a problem in Florida. Just call the pest control and have them just spray for you. I mean, it's just an insurance, but it's like something that you use. Don't like silverfish. They eat through clothes. If you have a lot of them, yeah. Just one stink bug so far. It's how they get in the house. They don't have anything to do, and there's billions out there. Unfortunately, I have the connecting room to the attic. A mixture between a bad fart and a bad feet stink. That's a strange smell. Well, I don't want to squish one just to smell them. That'd be rude. I'd make the bugger buy me a new thing of Sprite. I've actually come to like Sprite more than Canada Dry Ginger Ale. Sprite can be good. We used to have mostly black widows and red ants. I never saw a black widow until it was at work. They were everywhere. So much fumigation pretty much got rid of them in city limits. We get little black ants from time to time, and they're a real problem. They get after the snack cupboard. Yeah, what is it that people use to kill those things? Borax? I want to say baking soda, something like that. Black ants are weird. They'll be there and all of a sudden they're there out of nowhere. And then you kill them and you'll never see them for like 10 years. It's really strange. It's almost like they took the wrong turn to Albuquerque, and they all just like showed up. Of course, if you live in Arizona, taking the wrong turn at Albuquerque always puts them at your doorstep. I lived in a house with a roommate one time, and he had a cat. And I don't know shit about animals, about pets. I've never had pets. We had some fish that were in a tank. We had some freshwater fish that we ended up buying some snails. I was a kid. We ended up buying some snails to clean, to clean up the glass and stuff, clean up the algae. That was a mistake. One or both snails were pregnant. And the next thing you know, it was like, like snails everywhere. And they took over everything. It was a snail infestation. But, the thing about a snail infestation is they just stay in there, It's not like they're all running around your house and stuff like that. It's not like you're out there walking, slipping on one. But I never grew up with any pets. I never grew up with a dog or a cat or anything like that that's like loose and stuff like that. So I had a roommate one time, and his cat got fleas. And I don't know diddly dick about fleas. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? You'd sit on the couch, and these things they'd be all over your freaking legs. Like, I don't know, each one of your legs had like 12 to 20 of them on there. And I'm like, what the hell is this? It's the weirdest thing. And like, yeah, that didn't work out. And I don't know anything about that kind of stuff. I just don't. I'm ignorant when it comes to pets. Never had any. Don't want any. I hear all these stories. I know, Nordic, you got a cat. You have at least one cat. I hear all these stories. I had this war game set up, and the Mr. Cat came over and knocked everything down. That would happen one time. I would introduce him to my Chinese neighbor, whatever the hell that means. Actually, I have one across the street that's from Thailand. That'll work in a jiff. Like, no, you're not sitting on your ass and destroying something I've spent hundreds of hours on. Mittens. I've heard that some people use a picture of Rick's girlfriend, Alleyway Alley, to scare the ants to death. I like that Rick's not available. You can't invoke the nerd burglar at this time, although he may be going to sleep just about now. There was one morning that I made a comment on his page, and he was still awake. And I'm like, dude, it's like 3 o'clock in the morning on a work night or something like that. But he works from home. I like the carpenter ants in Michigan. Why, they build things? I always think it's strange you call them black widows. I didn't name them. Here they're called redbacks. Okay, fair enough. Could be called red bellies too. That's right. You have a cat, and the bastard likes to shoot under my feet and trip me, especially on the stairs. I think you should fall on him and teach him a lesson. I've moved my bad knee out of place a few times since he arrived. He trips me down the steps. The widow part is because they eat the males. If I live, he's going to run out of his 9 lives. Yeah. We've always had a pretty clean house. We don't have any pets. We don't wear shoes in the house. So you're not bringing all the stuff from the outside. And the house still gets dirty. Well, this house stayed pretty clean. We have a very, very, very dark floor, which is unfortunate because it shows dust everywhere, but it does make you go out and vacuum. And the best thing about vacuuming is we were never going to have a vacuum cleaner that has a cord again. Because having a cordless vacuum cleaner makes all the difference in the world. You're not like, oh, I gotta fight with a fucking cord. You just pick the thing up. We got two battery packs. One's on the charger, one's on the vacuum cleaner, and you just it lasts long. And you're just like, oh, let me get that. And it's like no worries. And you still get like dust bunnies and stuff like that go in the corner. But the dust bunnies, I tell you what, have to do with the carpet. They started showing up when we got area rugs in different areas, and we don't have a lot of area rugs. We've got one in the bedroom, we've got one in the living room, and one under the dining room table. And we have maybe 5 different rugs in the house, and just the nature of them just generates more. So you got to get the stuff in the corners. I can't imagine having like animal hair and shit like that everywhere. Like I said, we don't wear shoes in the house, and it's still, shit happens, I mean, just think of it. If you built a new house and nobody lived in it, there'd still be dust everywhere, even if you didn't do anything, it just kind of settles. Nobody puts Dust Bunny in the corner. I've never seen that movie. I haven't. Didn't see it in the 80s. And I'm not gay. So, I haven't seen that movie. I haven't seen it. I'm not opposed to seeing it. I just haven't. Oh, man. Nobody puts Dust Bunny in the corner. I don't know that I've seen that many movies with him in them. Maybe 3. God, what movies have I seen with him in it? I don't know. I don't think I've seen very many movies. I won't see any more, that's for sure. He died young. I don't think he was that old, man. Was he even in his 60s? Maybe in his early 60s. I saw the Wolverines movie. Yes, we're going to be attacked by people from Nicaragua. Okay. You guys couldn't even conquer El Salvador. And yet, somehow you're a problem. Got it. Yes, I did see Ghost. What else? That movie where he robs banks, Point Break. No, I haven't seen Roadhouse. I just didn't see it. I'm not a huge movie person. I do want to see that. I really wanted to watch that Godzilla -1 last weekend when my daughter was here, but we couldn't find somewhere to watch it for free, so I didn't feel like paying for it, not going to the movie theater. So I wanted to pick at all the World War II stuff in it and make sure that they put the right stuff in it, which I'm sure they didn't. I've not seen Roadhouse. I've not. I haven't tried to avoid it. I just never saw it. The thing is, Roadhouse is a rated R movie, right? And it came out at a time where I wasn't old enough to legally watch a rated R movie. And so, yeah, it's like 87, right? So I was 16. I'm pretty sure it's rated R. I was like, we were talking about this the other day. Denzel Washington, who I don't mind. I've seen like 2 movies he's in. Glory and The Manchurian Candidate. Because he's in movies that don't interest me. Like I don't want to watch a movie about sports. Like, it just doesn't interest me. And I don't dislike him as a person. I just haven't seen him in very many movies. And the other thing is, my wife is really bad about movies. Really, really bad. And she admits it. There's just a lot of stuff that she won't watch. And she likes only romantic things and things, as she says, things that make her feel good. And I tend to watch things that are like, I like thrillers and stuff like that. I like things that are like, oh, my life ain't so bad because it's not that. So I don't watch horror, but I watch things of, you know, that kind of stuff. So we don't watch things together very often. What are we missing? Oh, yes, the inside of the hatch. So I was back and forth on it, and I think I am going to paint some parts of the inside of it on white, and just to kind of give it a little bit of color. Dun, 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 dun. You're a big fan of Denzel Washington, one of my favorite actors. Your work on the KV makes you think of Kursk. Well, there weren't a ton of them at Kursk, but there was weird things at Kursk. There was all kinds of combinations of stuff at Kursk. Other than the standard vehicles that the Soviets had. They had KVs, they had the Su-152s made their debut there, which, by the way, I have one to do. So you'll see that probably in the future. An animal killer. They had Lees. They had some Lend-Lease Lees. They had, I'm pretty sure they had Stewarts. Some, not a lot, not the vast majority. They had Churchills. There was like one brigade that had Churchill tanks. I think they would have been Churchill 3s. I think with the 6-pounder. So Kursk was a place where, those things were manifested themselves. I don't think the Shermans had made it to them yet. But I'll never do Lend-Lease Shermans. I don't really want to do Lend-Lease vehicles for the Soviets other than the Studebaker trucks. I don't want to give them to them. Soviets have cool stuff. They don't need to be running around in a Sherman. And even though they got a lot of Shermans, they're a drop in the bucket as far as the probability of running into a tank. The probability of running into a Soviet tank and it's a Sherman is really, really low. And I talked about this the other day, if you talk about 1,000 tanks that the Germans made of a certain type is a lot more common than 1,000 tanks that the Soviets made, percentage-wise. You're more likely to run into a Tiger 1. If you run into a German tank, it's more likely that it is a Tiger 1 than if you run into a Soviet tank and it's a JS. Because the Tiger 1s are a bigger percentage of the whole of the Wehrmacht than the JSs are of the Soviet forces. So when you take a vehicle that the Soviets used, that they only made 11 of, like a KV-9, which we talked about that yesterday, that's a really rare vehicle because it came out early in the war, especially if you're talking about like 1941. In 1941, the Soviets had tens of thousands of BTs and T-26s. Tens of thousands of them. So odds are you're going to run into one of those. Well, Tony, what do you have so many T-35s to do? Because the guy was selling them for $1. Next question. I wasn't going to leave them there. They got like 6 more T-35s to do. They were literally $1 each. I'm like, I'm not leaving them. I can get $1 worth of enjoyment out of it. You know what they had the most of at Kursk? Minefields. Crash booms. 76.2 L39s. So there's new studies, I haven't read any of them, but there's new studies that supposedly the Germans didn't lose as much stuff as was originally thought. Okay, well, it still doesn't matter. They crashed head on into that wall and it didn't help. Good thing the Germans didn't win. The Germans winning the Eastern Front is not a happy is not going to have a happy ending for anybody other than the top brass. Burning wrecks. Now, supposedly they didn't. I don't know. I haven't read it. I would probably read it if it was on Audible, but Kursk is interesting because it has that, oh, I can play the Germans and do better thing. Plus, it has a lot of new toys that came out in that time period. You got the Soviets have all kinds of new stuff. The Germans have the Panthers. They have the Tigers, which weren't completely new, but they were relatively new. They got Ferdinands. They've got the Nashorn made its debut at Kursk. There's probably other things as well. There were some interesting German units. When I was doing 135th scale, I was always a fan of Grossdeutschland. I'm like, I'm going to paint a little helmet on stuff. It's an elite unit and it's not those SS bastards. I've never built an SS vehicle. I don't know that I'm 100% opposed to it. I just don't see any reason to do it. Do the camo smocks on their troops look cool? Sure. That's it. But that's a reason to do Canadians. You can do Canadians and them little Hitler Youth MFers. Have those guys fight over that airfield, Normandy. Okay, so yeah, let me bring that white up one small level up, and then we'll leave it be. No, I'm going to let that have to dry that a little bit before I add more to it. It's picking up the color underneath. That means I use too much flow aid. It'll all straighten itself out in a second when it dries out. All right, what else do we got? This is done. I didn't miss anything, right? Headlamps are done. That's done. Work complete. I'm not worried about the basing on them just yet. I gotta seal them before I gotta base them. I might as well cut them out. What the fuck? These are white ones we used. So, and I may actually have to go to the El Hobby Lobby to get more of this stuff. Now, let's put my glasses on. Being bold, trying to look at something 2 feet away without glasses on. Oh yeah, this is all we have. We're gonna need a little more. We definitely need the KVs on this stuff because they're rather large. They're rather large. 1, 2, 3, and then 4. I think I can get away with that. I'm gonna have to trim these. I'm definitely want them to be a similar size. I need 4, right? So let's see how well we can consume this. I'm gonna try and get some shut eye here in a few minutes. I'd say you're up past your bedtime, but you don't really have a bedtime. All right, where's my little measuring thingy? Let's just go straight across here. Let's just go straight across. I'm going to use pencil. This pencil's not going to smear as much as this permanent marker. Permanent markers are only just so permanent. All right, so let's go ahead and cut that piece out. Now, what kind of width are we talking about here? And I really need to get a metal ruler that is metric, because I really prefer metric, not this engineering scale. I'm kind of rigging this, although it looks like this is 2 inches. I am very metric friendly. So the question is, do we have 6 inches here? We even have a little bit less than that. This should be a real edge of the actual thing. So I'm going to go ahead and cut these into 2-inch sections. So we're going to go here, we're going to go here, and we're going to go here. Okay, and I'm going to flip to this side. And do the same thing. We're going to go there. Wish I had a little T-scale, but I was going to get one day, and I'm like, "There, you want how much for it?" No, that's not worth that. I don't care what price you have on it. There's some prices I'm just not going to pay for certain items. Don't slip on me, Boris. That worked really well. Now let's check for size. Okay. 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 Okay, we're good. All right, let's just cut on those lines. Doesn't have to be perfect, but fighting my own shadow. Oh, we got to go deeper than that. That's what she said. That's your line, Nordic. Moose and squirrel, Boris. You beat me to it, yeah. And you could have responded with, "I've never heard that before." Yeah, okay. Okay, Whitey. Oh man, watch a documentary about the War of 1812. I don't know shit about that one. Pick you up some plastic sheeting. No, I'll come by and pick you up. We'll go to the store together. You'd like going to the Hobby Lobby here. There's some pretty girls there almost always. American, they said the muskets of the time could only shoot 80 paces accurately. That's actually pretty far. Automatically thought of how close that was on DBA scale. There you go. Moose and squirrel, Boris. What's for dinner? Moose and squirrel. This is a really interesting material. It is plastic, but it sands really interestingly. Yep. Perfect match. It's odd. There we go. Now, let's get, I know what I want. I just can't see it. There it is. It's like bendy. It's got a lot of lubricative properties to it. It's not too dissimilar to the plastic that Plastic Soldier Company uses, which means I kind of like that it's bendy a little bit. It's not brittle, you know. It's got some flex in it before it cracks and breaks. Okay, did we cut these down to length? Of course we did. All right, this is the other extra, which is probably the right length. Perfect. It's just not the right width. Got it. All right, so this is good enough for government work. We're going to come in here. Ooh, this end is cattywampus. Which side do we want? Neither one of the two. We want to go shorter, okay. Screw that remainder then. I mean, we're going to use it, but let's not go with a measurement for it. This is 3.5 inches. And we'll keep these remainders. We may need them for mount a motorcycle or something. Now, perfect. All right, now we will do this. You measure with the same device. Don't start changing devices that you're measuring with. Okay, and the last one, which neither dimension is correct. One of these, which of these two is the true edge? This one. All right, so we're going to lay it on the true edge. I'm being a lot more anal retentive than I probably need to be, but so be it. All right, there's the pieces that we need to cut off. That one's good. As long as they're blonde or Asian. Titanium material good for a larger size base for 15. It doesn't flex at all. I like this size. I think this is the 0.2. It's close to 3 mil, and that's why I picked it. It was the same as this. It was the closest I could find to the basing material that I got free from the plant, and I'm getting low on this. Although I have a ton of remainders, so we can do Kubelwagens galore and stuff like that. Yeah. Used to use that base my WRG miniatures. Balsa was much easier, but it's furry. Balsa is kind of furry. I used to use basswood, but it warps. This stuff they're not gonna warp. It can warp. I know, you gotta paint both sides. Yeah. We didn't know that back then. There was no internet to tell us that. I got a stash of basswood that I bought in the mid 1990s that I still have. And I just haven't gotten rid of it. Because I never know when I'm going to need it. Wife's always like, you're not going to use that. You should just get rid of that. I'm like, no. It doesn't take up any space. Be quiet, woman. Damn, you're being... There we go. Not that difficult. Just need to get a purchase on it. Okay, we need to go deeper here. So one good scenario for this could be like, you got a platoon of Czech 38s. And you got to get across the board, and on the other side of the board, you've got this KV that's trying to stop you. Actually, technically, that was Czech 35s with a 6th Panzer Division in Lithuania at the beginning of Barbarossa. Perfect. Oh, what happened here? Oh, I never cut these. Damn it, man. It's a bird, it's a plane, it's damn it, man. Damn it, man's superpower is irreverent cursing. No, you are a remainder. Remainders go over here. That's pretty freaking consistent. I'll have to reward myself later for doing such a good job. All right, let's cut the corners on these jokers. If I'm hungry, go eat something. Plastic's bad to eat. Yeah, but it's really filling. Something tells me a Latin woman to be quiet is not going to end very well. She's not that Latin. She doesn't have an accent. I don't either. Like the only person I've ever heard of from Miami that doesn't have an accent. I told her she should come on my show one time. Get you guys all excited. Not that kind of a show. She didn't know shit about history, unfortunately. She can't be great at everything. She did do a couple paintings one time. She did one of those places you go with your girlfriends or whatever, and they give you paint, whatever. I forget what it's called. It's got like a trendy type name or whatever. And I think what she did looked really good, but she didn't like it. But I get it. Sometimes you're your own worst critic when it comes to doing creative things. If somebody understands that, it's me. Wish these clippers were just a smidge bigger, and they wouldn't, and the remainder wouldn't get caught in the jaws here, which is why I have to tap it, unfortunately. Get out of there. Maybe it keeps it from flying, though. Adios. All right, so here is the 3 bases for the KVs. Again, pretty consistent. Take all these little guys, put them in the garbage can. I wonder how much longer I'm going to have this paper. It's extremely old. It's extremely brittle. This paper is probably 30 years old. I don't know that I ever bought it. I think I inherited it from somebody. But this stuff sands really, really well. Almost like, it almost feels like it's got some pastels. You know those pastels that back when we were doing modeling in the 1990s, you'd get the pastels, you go to the art supply store and take some sandpaper and rub the pastels on it. It would make this powder, and you'd paint the powder in different places, and you'd weather it that way. It almost seems that way. Man, it doesn't make as much of a mess as the black stuff. So the fact that I'm running out of the black stuff maybe is not such a bad thing, but I like that material. It was just something they were going to throw away anyway, so I might as well use it. So we'll use that for when it's available. And then eventually we're going to have to use this for all the basing. Somebody got all uppity the other day about, well, I don't understand why you base your vehicles. Well, I don't understand why people eat ketchup, but you people do, so. It's really simple. I actually don't have a preference. I actually am fine with the vehicles not being based like this. However, some vehicles have to be based because they're just too flimsy. It is the vast minority of vehicles, but some vehicles have to be based. So at that point, do you want some of your vehicles based and others not? No, I don't. They either all want to be on. I want them all on bases or none. So because I can't choose none, I have to put them on bases. Why you don't understand that? Same thing. I don't label my figures. I think my tank crewman will be, but I don't label my figures underneath, because if you pick the figure up, say, "Oh, that's Frank," and then put it down, you're not putting it in the same place. So they end up walking all over the place, even if you're like really careful. So. interesting. Not bad. Not like a stink bug. What do you say? A fart and a what? A fart and something. Oh, bad foot smell. I don't think I've ever smelled a stink bug before. I try not to stir them up, though. I mean, there's no reason to go and bother an animal. How much bigger than you take? Well, I don't think that there's a direct formula, Kevin, but I do want a little bit of meat around it. Because that way they don't bang into each other. And it shows a little bit of the terrain. Whoops. You know, if you don't put this on a base, you can't tell that the weathering on here is in the base and it's all together. So maybe a 1/16 of an inch, a 1/4 inch around, not more than that. You know, it is magnetized. So if I have to travel with them, like when I just moved, none of my tanks banged into each other. There's not an exact formula, and if it's something that I'm already doing something of, I try to keep them all the same. So I want to keep all my T-34s in the same size base. All the KVs on the same one to themselves. Just for some consistency. It's not necessary because you end up measuring from the actual vehicle anyways, but it's just something to do. It's not like it's dictated by the game system or anything. It's just, there's some vehicles that they won't survive not on a base. Those trucks that I got from Airfix, those old MPC trucks, they wouldn't survive not on a base. Those Opel Blitz trucks, they'd fall apart. Man, the axles and stuff are way too flimsy. You know, I mean, I'd screw them up. I wouldn't even get a chance to let somebody else destroy them. I'll have destroyed them before I want to, and that's being careful. So, you know, I don't want to do a bunch of repairs. Any vehicle that have rubber track issues, which some of them have, where they don't fit together or whatever, if they're not on a base, I can't like hide those issues in there, you know. So I guess some people are just going to have to lose sleep at night knowing there's some vehicles on bases. You know, it's not like it's that, what's that game that came out by Warlord Games that naval game that has all their ships that are molded on a base that looks like a damn flip-flop. Somebody mentioned saying, that looks like a flip-flop. And I'm like, it didn't until you said that. Now I can't unsee that, you know. Luckily they cut the thong thing off of it. Otherwise it'd be really strange looking. What's that? Warlord Games, War at Sea, whatever the hell it's called. You know, their games. I actually don't mind the base as much as I don't like the name of the ship, like stuck on the side of it, where you have to paint it, which is cool until you have two ships of the same class. Like, let's say you wanted two of a certain cruiser, and they're the same class. Both of them say, you know, Leander 1940 or whatever, you know, but you want one of them to be Ajax, and you want the other one to be, you know, Neptune or, you know, whatever. Doesn't really work that way. Then you got this stupid name on the side of the ship, you know. So I don't mind bases. These are playing pieces. And it's just an opportunity to kind of do in like a really small diorama. And I like having the little tuft grass showing on it. I don't know, it's just my personal preference. But I'm not opposed to having vehicles. I don't look at vehicles that aren't on base and they go, oh, those look unfinished. It's just, I realize that there's some vehicles that just aren't going to, not gonna work not on a base. The armored cars by Rodin, they wouldn't do well not on a base. It's the exception, but there's enough of them that it will be annoying. There'd be enough of them that it would be annoying. So your sanding is jiggling the camera. Okay, well luckily I'm done. Actually, it's jiggling this thing. Ooh. How to get seasick in Arizona. You guys don't You got that little sliver of Mexico there in the. What's the name of that? What's that funny name of that place there? Punta Pensaco or something like that. What's it called? Puerto Peñasco. Puerto Peñasco. Yeah, you got to go through to get to the ocean. Boy, that I'm thirsty already looking at that. You ever been to that part of? I guess that's not really Baja. I guess that's the Panhandle to Baja. I've never been in northern Mexico. I've been to Mexico many times, but not the northern part. Let's get some magnets. Go to the magnet drawer. Puerto Peñasco. I don't know what the hell that means. Port of something. It's just a made up word. Let's just take a sliver of this off. Just like the people like, I don't know why you put magnets on things. I base everything on metal. Well, I don't. You know, because if I want to play on my refrigerator, I can. You can't. No, I've done my science experiment and said why I prefer the magnet. Because you can't ever buy something that has, if you use metal, the metal's only going to be so thick and so big, right? Each individual base. And if you put magnets on somewhere, the magnet cheating is only going to be this thick. And you get a better grip when it's a magnet that's this size and it's a container that's big. It has more ions and shit on it. It grips better. But you do you. I don't go and go, I don't know why you put things on metal bases. I don't do metal bases because they have sharp corners. And then I got to worry about the paint rubbing off of the sharp corner or poking you. Or both. So that's why I do it. But it doesn't really matter what you do as long as you're consistent. And as long as you're happy with it. You have to please nobody. Especially after COVID. You should just do what makes you happy. Because there's not pleasing anybody. Some people are just never going to be pleased no matter what you do. I don't go say, those what do they call those new paints? Suck. No, they're just not for me. Whatever the hell they're called. The quick things. Hey, more products is better for the consumer. The consumer's been on the losing end of everything for the last 10 years. So I am pro-consumer. The more choices the consumer has, the better off we are. Like when I went and looked at cars the other day, the guy who sold me the last car was like, he was being all giggly like, yeah, I like this car shortage. We sell everything. And I'm sitting here, I almost called him a fucking dick. And I said, you're a consumer too, man. And not having choices is you might like it here, but when you go to the grocery store and realize you don't have any choices, you're getting screwed too, pal. There was a story that we could have had a coastline of Baja, but cartographers got lazy or something and took a sharp turn to the northwest. Would you want a coastline in between Mexico? You'd have Mexico over here, a little Arizona coastline, and then coastline on the other side. I don't know. I've never been to the Gulf of California. I've been south of there. Pacific is one of those really misnamed places like the Virgin Islands. There's nothing Pacific about the Pacific. It is very, very active. Right. Where is the Spatula Oblongata? I need to watch that show that how the states got their shapes. I think I would appreciate that. I think I would. I knew all my states early on. I was a map nerd burglar, young. Love maps. Love me some maps. I'm one of those people, you show me a state silhouette, I know them all, except Wyoming and Colorado. I got to do a double take on them. Wyoming is narrow. Colorado is more square than Wyoming. But other than those two, you should know what your states look like. Hell, I know what the states in Canada look like. I like you'll find those quizzes, they'll be on Facebook or something like that. What is this country? Or what's the flag of this country? Or something like that. And I like those, except they're multiple guess. So then they become too easy. I don't find them challenging enough. Well, if it's multiple guess, I'm not going to get any wrong. It's red and white. Colombia is one of the choices. No. Baja was like a summer hangout for zonies for a long time. Okay, first time I've heard that terminology. I like it. Zonies. Interesting. Never heard that before, Kevin. Zoning out with the zonies, yeah. You always lived in Arizona? Or did you come from somewhere else? Are you a native? My dad always didn't like people that said it. Florida native. Like, okay. I don't really like that terminology, but I'm a Florida native. Makes it sound like you're going to worship some moon goddess or something like that, but I get really defensive of my state. You don't like Florida? Stay the hell out. We got too many people here. We've doubled in size in 20 years. Everybody complains about Florida, then don't move here. Hanging out with the zonies. That's a cool terminology. I hadn't heard about that one before. It's so many people moving to Florida. The weather in your states must be terrible because it's hot as here, and the bugs are worse. If it was just like hot and no bugs, no problem. But oh no, they both come together, holding hands. And I don't care how cold of a winter you have, they don't die off. I think Californians came up with zonies. You're from Michigan since 1972. Oh, you've been in. That's a big change. Arizona is dry and hot, and Michigan is cold and wet. Right? I think you guys are cold. I think you guys are wet. We're hot and wet. Swamp ass. I was surprised that when I went to Canada, it was cold and wet. And that's what I like. Because I got to have the wet because it kills my skin. I'm not used to it. But I'll actually tell you the worst thing about Florida is that you step outside in any kind of weather. It could be 30 degrees, 32 degrees out there. It could be freezing. Go out there to go walk 50 feet, come back in. You smell like outside. You stink. And I don't, there's not like there's a swamp next door. It just stinks. There's stank in the air. And then you go inside and about an hour later it goes away, but it's an unpleasant smell. It smells like, little kids running around that been sweaty. And it's really annoying. And that doesn't happen. That didn't happen when I went to Colorado or Utah or this last trip to Canada. It doesn't happen in the Northeast. I don't know what the hell it is. It's not humidity. Maybe we have a lot of pollen. We do. I don't know. It just freaking stinks. So I hate. You go to Colorado or something like that, and you'll have temperatures that are even warmer than they are here. And you spend all outside all day long, and your clothes still smell like clean laundry. Here, you're screwed. It just smells like, it's like if you go to eat at a restaurant, and the restaurant is like a skillet place, and you smell like a damn skillet when you get out. It's that kind of thing, And there's just no way to get around there. Like, oh, I'm going to go take the garbage out. It's 40 degrees outside, right? You're not sweating or anything. You walk out there 30 feet, come back in, you stink. Like, what's going on out there? Blame it on the stink bugs. I don't know. Okay, I'm going to take a little bathroom break, and I should be back in a few. Right back, folks. Okay, we're back. Swamp rats equals nutria. Nutria is Spanish for otter. Might be Spanish for some other things too, but otter, like river otter, is a nutria. What bugs me about Florida is the alligator hunters, when you should be hunting the swamp rat things or pythons. I don't hear about alligator hunters. Maybe that's down in the Everglades or something. So, I just got an interesting thing that came across. And I saw an ad for American Prohibition Museum. Never heard of it. You know, prohibition is ridiculous. I can't think that this country is something so stupid. So we went to Canada recently. They had a speakeasy. And I was thinking, you know, that's kind of ridiculous to have a speakeasy in Canada, because certainly the Canadians didn't do something as stupid as prohibition, right? Which is the whole purpose of a speakeasy. Having a clandestine location to be able to have a beverage, an adult beverage, right? Imbibe and partake in an adult beverage. But lo and behold, they did. But theirs only lasted like a couple of years. Like they sobered up. They sobered up and realized it was a ridiculous idea. But I saw this ad for American Prohibition Museum. So, you know, there's a lot of irony in the world. And, you know, the ironic one is if you go up through Tennessee, you know, you can go to the Jack Daniels distillery and you actually can't drink. There's a way they can go around it, but Jack Daniels distillery is in a dry county. Irony. Irony much? So they have a special scenario you can get around to actually test the stuff and test there. You're a certified tester or something like that. You gotta sign some kind of a document. That's why they allow you to actually like take a sip of the Jack Daniels at the Jack Daniels distillery that is in a dry county. Something even more ironic. The American Prohibition Museum. Where is it? What town is it in? Savannah, Georgia. Well, what's unique about Savannah, Georgia? Savannah, Georgia is one of the few places that you can get a drink to go. In other words, you can open container in they said in a downtown area. It makes it sound like it's really small. Oh no, it's like 12 blocks or 16 blocks by 16 blocks. It's pretty good. You get a hotel there and you basically can, you know, you can't be an idiot, you know, and you got to have a plastic container. You can't just start throwing glass bottles or anything, but you can literally get a bar and you can get a drink to go. And you're going down the street, you know, window shopping or whatever with a adult beverage in your hand, which I don't have a problem with. I behave better with a drink in my hand than without. You know, nothing's an issue. But how ironic that the Prohibition Museum is in a place where you literally could say, not only can we drink now, but I can have it open. You know, irony at its finest. And drinking is not an important part of my life, but I don't like being told no. I just don't like being. I don't like being manipulated. And it's part of my culture more than anything else, you know? So, anywho, interesting factoid there. Okay, so these KVs are ready to be sprayed. I'm going to go ahead and move them off my table into my traveling container. So they can stop taking up my real estate. And we've got their bases drying here. We'll get them out of the way too. This is my painted example. And we'll get to decide since I'm going to spray these guys, what we're going to work on next. Let's go ahead and put these on these. These are super handy. For some reason, I find it funny we have a D-Day museum in Louisiana. Well, the land was probably cheap. Yeah, I've never been. I've only been to Louisiana one time, and it wasn't even Mardi Gras, and that place was, well, I was underage, so maybe that's why I didn't enjoy it, but I don't really want to go somewhere it's even hotter than Florida. And Louisiana is definitely hotter than Florida, because there's no breeze. Talk about swamp ass. I've never been. But I have a feeling I'd find it disappointing, because I'm a bit of a World War II nut. I'd probably want to see things that aren't there. You know. So, all right, let's get this out of the way, and let's get the bases out of the way too. We can clear up some of this real estate and figure out what we're going to take over there to spray, because we're going to spray clear, and we're going to we're going to spray black, the base color. Base it black. I've always based black. I don't see any reason to change. I'm not interested in converting anybody. If you're happy spraying gray or rust brown or whatever color you want to do, I'm going to go ahead and put these colors away. Eliminate some of this chaos. And 813 needs to go as well. 813 is getting sealed. And I'd show this to you guys, but it's not going to do it justice. They don't look, for some reason, they don't turn out well. There's not enough color to it. All right, I'm going to move these guys over to the other table. Staging area. We have 2 more KV2 turrets. We're going to leave them. We're going to leave them alone for the time being. Gotta keep this area tidy so you don't turn into a madman. I can't think if there's too many distractions out here. It just goes. You have to keep looking around things that aren't important. We'll leave the field drab out here, and English uniform, Iraqi sand. What's this? Chocolate brown? We're going to use chocolate brown here soon. This thing has been pretty rock solid, although I can't really recommend it. I need to finish doing the second half of my video. I filmed it unboxing, and I haven't done what I think about it yet. It's just, it was a lot more difficult to put together than it should have been. That's really the only problem with it. It works well now, but man, it was not. It took way too long to assemble this thing. And I feel like I'm pretty competent doing that kind of stuff. And it was just, it took way too much effort to do that. Should have been a lot easier. What else we got to fill in the gap here? Let's put sand there. Green ochre. We got space for one more. I got some repeats in here and got paints that are almost dying, so we probably need to get them out of the mix. So what else are we going to base, potentially? Well, if the 813 we're happy with how it turns out, you got a fellow we can meet in the desert. And that's this Panzer I. from Eschi. So I'm going to take her out there. Spray it black. And we have some of this terrain that I was talking about the other day that I picked up from a couple of years ago from Miniature Building Authority. Scatter terrain. You know, we've got a fuel depot, all one piece. More barrels. More barrels. This stuff for like a factory floor, a big old cog. A rock. A desert rock. So, before I get too carried away, I'm going to do, say, one of them. And just see how I like it in desert. These are the extra pieces that I have for like Shermans and shit like that. The extra accoutrement that I didn't want to get bogged down in the decisions. So I punted. But I got some stuff, let me show you, for the Shermans and the half tracks. So if you got like a half track or something like this, you can glue these little guys on here. And you can have like baggage on it. I just didn't want to do that, have to make that decision before I painted these and get bogged down in it. So there's time to do it later. You know, paint these things and then epoxy them in place. And I got stuff for Shermans as well. Really should do to little wheels and shit like that. Good morning. Late arrival, but heading out soon to local farmers market. Have I painted elephants yet? I have two. I have one that's already built. That's actually a Ferdinand. And I'm probably not going to repaint it because it's a dragon model one. It's beautiful. Which one did we say we were going to do? Let's do this one. I'll do the rock, the outcropping, and as well. And the other one actually is one of the models I haven't built. And I have a little bit of a dilemma with it. Here's that little Hago I was talking about. It is really a piece of crap. It's super. It has a lot of bubbles. Has a lot of bubbles. But the problem with doing this is I put it on a base, I have to decide right then and there what my Japanese basing is going to look like. And fuck it, we'll take her with us. Let's clean her up. I know you guys want me to do a Japanese tank. Keep your pants on, folks. But I have one of the other models I have to put together left is the Eschi Elephant. And the problem with this is, by the time the Elephant came out, which is basically an improved Ferdinand with the whole machine gun there, every vehicle was coming out of the factory already with Zimmerit. This doesn't have Zimmerit. So, hey Victor, so am I going to put Zimmerit on this thing after I paint it? Well, I could attempt to do that, but so I've just kind of punted with it. But there's only a couple models I have left to build. That one, the Martyr, and the worst model I own, easily, is the King Tiger, that plastic that won't stick to itself. You can't use regular glue with this thing. This is an abortion. This is an abortion. But I got a couple other things to finish, but you know, I got some interesting stuff like this guy here. This is a Panzer III that has, this is an observation vehicle. So it's got a dummy gun. It's like a Panzer III with just an MG34 in the front of the hull. This is a dummy gun that's in it. This is like an observation vehicle for the artillery. So like the Hummels, I have a Hummel and I have a Vespa. Got this old, here you go, Kevin's on, got this Stug. It's significantly bigger than the other one. This is, I believe, a Britannia model. Might not be Britannia. That's damn near 1/70th scale. And my other Stug that is complete is, I believe it's a Fujimi 1/76th. So there's a bit of a size difference between the two. But anywho, I got so many damn krauts done. Damn krauts. I do need to finish this. It's just ready for the Agrax Earthshade, and then we do some camouflage on top of it. But let's look at the Hago. Oh, and I got this thing too. A Grilla. The Grilla from Manila. Now, this is a company that I actually used to like. Made in pride in Scotland. Do not use naked flame. Yeah, because it's flammable. These are 1/76th. And these are all things that I grabbed from Brookhurst. Not from Brookhurst, from... God, what was the name of that place? Noble Knight, when I did my trade. Let me take a look at this thing. Fuel Depot makes me think of the Battle of the Bulge movie. That's right. The realistic Battle of the Bulge movie. Everybody hates that movie, but it was always on TBS when I was growing up. It's so weird to look at. I saw it so many times, it's so weird to look at Robert Shaw as anything other than a German. I'm like, what's this German guy doing playing a British person? That fits on there nicely. No instructions. Figure out your damn self. Oh, good thing we have the internet. This thing's beautiful. This thing's really, really nice. Really, really nice. But, you know, it's got some things that get damaged. You know, you've got, it looks like there's some parts here that got damaged just in transit. It's got some flash and stuff, but nothing you can't, you know, deal with. This, of course, is another Czech 38 chassis. I believe it's No, it's not backwards. So the front of the Czech 38 is still over here. It's not like the Archer that's backwards. With a 150 millimeter infantry gun. Boomba! Cute little thing. So this is the part that goes towards the back, so forth. Anyhow, I got that a while ago. I hadn't really taken a look at it. I was a fan of Cromwell models, and this was just another one of those companies that went defunct. Let's see if there's any things I need to read about this before I throw this instruction sheet away. Adhesives. Assemble using cyanoacrylate, superglue, or quick setting epoxy. Epoxy for me. When sanding resins or any material which produces a fine dust, always wear a dust mask and work in a well-ventilated area. If distorted, immerse part in hot water, correct, then immerse in cold water. Gentle heat from hairdryer will also work. Do not use naked flame. Yeah, this is another company that went belly up, unfortunately. I don't know exactly what happened. I think the owner probably got too old or passed away and nobody wanted to do it anymore. So I think they may have sold their mold to somebody else, but 20 years ago, this was the nicest stuff out there. There was nothing better than Cromwell as far as I was concerned. Unfortunately, they're 176th, which means they run a little small compared to some of my other stuff. But, you just kind of look the other way. It's not a problem. Okay, back to Mr. Hago. This thing is extremely, extremely, extremely rough. It's so rough. Where'd my phone go? It's so rough that I'm going to take a picture of it and I'll post it online. Where did my phone go? Did I not bring it in here? That could be the case. 1 second. I'm always misplacing my phone. I guess that's what old people do. Anyways, it'll turn up when I don't need it. And then my wife will give me grief, like, you can't call it because you'd have your ringer turned down. I said, well, I have my ringer turned down because I don't want a freaking phone call to come in at the wrong time. You heard the Dicker Max was only early German tank that could kill a KV. But there were only 2 made. I get the Dicker Max confused with the other one. There's the Dicker Max has a 128, I think. A 128, yeah. You could mess up somebody really nicely with a 128. I get it confused with the other one that they only made 2 of. I'll show you what I mean. I don't know where the hell my phone is, man. That's a little disturbing. This thing. This thing's super useful book. Not as useful now as it used to be, because now we have access to things on the internet. If only they had things as... There it is. There's my phone. It's underneath here. It's not where it goes. It's called the something Amel. Amel is the other one. And they both came out kind of the same time period. Dicker Max. This thing is a very useful compendium. It's this thing right here. This is the thing I get mixed up with it. But this had a 105. This is a 105 millimeter howitzer. It's, casement, it's open. Experimental series of 8 produced in November 42. Okay, so this came after the Dicker Max. I'm pretty sure. Dicker Max is nearby. Nope, that's the Panther, so let's go a little earlier. This is all stuff that's on Panzer 3s and Panzer 4 hulls. There's the Hummel. Is this Dicker Max? Yeah, this is Dicker Max. It doesn't say on here. This is a Panzer 4 hull. And the other one I get it confused with is this thing. You can see the similarity between that and this one. They're pretty similar. These came out in 1941. These came out in 1942. Panzer SF 4B. They made 8 of these with a 4-man crew, and they made the Dicker Max. So this has a 105 millimeter field gun. So they're both one. Well, which is the one that has the 128? One of these has a 128. I think it was this one. I thought the Dicker Max had a 128 in it. Anyways, there's only like a handful of them made. But the funny thing is there's a ton of people that make a Dicker Max model. Yeah, they only made 2 of them, so you got to paint them as one or the other one. And I want to say one was in the Stalingrad pocket. Yeah. So the other ones I call like Lonely Amel or something like that. But this also has a 105. So technically it's the same freaking gun. They're kind of cousins. Anyhow, they make models of both of them. I don't have a National one. I think National one's a very attractive vehicle. That long ass barrel. Anyhow, the revised edition. What's Dicker Max German for? Max the Dick. Don't be such a dicker. Okay. So, this thing. Let's clean this bastard up. Or attempt to. And then we'll see if this is worth my trouble at all to mess with this thing at all. We got some bubbles here. Some resin bubbles. And the resin they used for this thing, still to this day, nope, the smell's gone away. It smelled like mothballs forever. It smelled like mothballs. Okay, there's the machine gun in the hull. Let's be careful with that. And there's a machine gun. There's no coax machine gun. there's a machine gun and not only in the back of the turret, but it's over off to one side. And let's get my pin vise. Here it is, and my box of pins, obviously, right? It's a pin vise, so it must be full of pins. Talk about brittle. This material is extremely brittle. Extremely brittle. So much that I'm afraid of cleaning some of it up. Let's get some of these bubbles popped. And it's really, really rough. Oh, there's that smell. That smells really unpleasant. I guess we'll have to wash our hands today. It smells like roach spray. And hell, I bought this thing every bit of 20 years ago. Maybe even longer. Here's a big jack. You know, this is still going to end up looking fine. Man, it looks rough as shit. All right, let's take a picture of this joker. You could use it to fight the Panzer I in China. There's only one company that makes Chinese troops. Lonely Ammo is the other one. Even though there's 8 of them. Not that lonely. Yeah, I want to say it's Pegasus that makes Chinese troops. I want to say they do. And they paint up okay. I mean, the plastic figures paint up okay. They're not bad. They got good detail. Problem is cleaning the flash off of them. You gotta like cut it. You can't scrape it. It gets all furry. another site that's excellent, I'm sure you guys know about it, is Plastic Soldier Review. And if you don't like, I think it's all 1/72nd scale stuff. Yeah, 1/72nd scale plastic figures on parade. So you can search by period. We'll go to World War II. And let's go to China. Yep. Caesar's the one, not Pegasus. Well, they're both, I think, Chinese. The figures actually look all right. They actually look all right. I think they use German gear. They use like Mausers and stuff like that. Although these guys have, we got a guy who's got a Thompson machine gun, Thompson submachine gun, Bren gun. Yeah, and it has a review of all of what's accurate on the figures or what have you. Stuart Emil had the 128. Okay. I knew one of them had the 28. So there's three of them that they're the same thing. They're that one that we were talking about. There's Dicker Max, and then there's Stuart Emil. Stuart Emil. Okay, it has this one has interwoven the interwoven running gear. Stubborn Emil. Yeah, it looks weird. It looks really weird. It's balanced very oddly. Way towards the rear. Now, how many did they make of these? Two vehicles were built, named Max and Moritz, the storybook characters. Both served on the Eastern Front. Max was either destroyed or abandoned due to persistent mechanical issues in 1942, while Moritz was captured at Stalingrad in January 43, with at least 22 kill marks painted on the barrel. This vehicle is now displayed in the collection at the Kubinka Tank Museum. Max and Moritz. Yes, it was in the Stalingrad pocket. Kind of a waste to have it there, but okay. So you got Stuart Emil, you've got Dicker Max, and you've got that other one that they made 8 of. Here's one from War Thunder. Oh, this is just messed up. This could be somebody's thing. So they painted this, and they put the 11th Panzer Division ghost symbol on it, on the front of it. Anyways, back to the Chinese troops. Period. World War II. China. So they like the accuracy. In fact, in our view, great sculpting is wasted if the figures are inaccurate, so accuracy is probably the most important aspect. Case of the subject is a tricky one as the Chinese made great use of local manufacturing for uniforms, which meant there were often variations in style. Supply was usually a problem too, so improvisation was common, leading to a wide mixture of clothing. However, these figures have captured that look very well, with the standard uniform and variants becoming well done. Even the soft shoes are good. Most wear peak caps of various kinds, while the officer wears a helmet, German in style as indeed his whole appearance. This reflects that country's support for China's army in the 1930s. None of the figures wear a pack, which is fine, but they have an assortment of belts and ammunition pouches, which again reflect the reality well. Cloth bandoliers are much in evidence, and the first figure in a row 2 wears stick grenade pouches. With an army that ran into millions, China bought weapons from all parts of the world and often reproduced them locally too. All the weapons in this set are good, with the rifles probably being based on a German Mauser. 2 men have Thompson-like submachine guns, although one is curiously steadying his weapon by holding the ammunition magazine in a forward grip. The prone machine gunners probably using a Czech ZB-26, although this could again be one of the similar with appropriate weapons, while the first figure in the last row carries something similar. Yeah, there are 40 figures, but you end up having a lot of repeat figures. I guess that would certainly be interesting. I got to get more painting plastic figures under my belt before I'm comfortable doing something like that. But that would be cool to do China and Japan. Never seen anybody do that. In a war game. Okay. Well, it's almost 9 o'clock. I'm going to scrub this one. I should be on later on over in my airbrushing station in the garage. We'll see how that goes. Should be relatively easy. I just got to bring the laptop out there, bring the microphone, and that should be it. You know, I'm going to try to do that. It should be able to work just fine. But as always, thank